came up for Friday, so now he has to skip that. But on the listing presentation, I talk about unique selling propositions. They're called USPs. There is something unique about each of you that sets you apart from your competition. So I know that Elise hasn't been in the business very long.
1 year less than.
1 year. So she's not going to be able to say over the last 22 years, her team has handled closed over 1,060 homes and had over 600 million in sales, right?
Right.
That's unique to me because I've been in the business a long time. So I really push that if I'm going in it on any agent, because if I'm going against a Debbie Lau or a Kathy Hall or somebody like that that's been in the business as long as I have, I need to become equal with them or have put it on equal footing. But a unique selling proposition is something that sets you apart. Let me read you through mine. Over 22 years, I've done this amount. My homes sell for 3.3% more than the average realtor broker. So I'm selling for 97.3% of the list price, and I'm selling them for 19% faster than the average agent. Mr. and Ms. Seller, what's 3% of your home worth?
Well, you got the numbers.
Could be 15,000, because if their house is worth 500,000, and I'm averaging 3.3 than the market. So let me give you a USP if you haven't been in the business very long that might include that one. Our office sells homes on average for more than 3% than the average office, and we sell about 19% faster. Now those may not be the specific numbers. You have to go into the MLS, have your principal look at other offices, combine them to get an average. You know, Suma's in Lake Oswego. Suma Lake Oswego is probably going to be faster than, let's say, Oregon Realty in Lake Oswego.
Just to add that we also have all that data too through a
Perfect.
system that we pay for. So if you guys need those numbers, we can provide this for every office actually in the MLS.
My office averages selling homes for 3.3% more, and we're 19% faster than the average office. That would be a good one for a new person. This can be one for a new person. I utilize leading edge technology to attract buyers, attracting them to our listings first, which is in my unique two-step approach for my marketing plan that I'm about ready to go through with you. So now I'm doing this in about less than a minute because this is my elevator speech. And I memorized it, and I get through it really quick because I don't want to spend too much. It's not about Dave, it's about them. Everything's about them, except I have to set myself apart from the competition. If you don't set yourself apart, you're going to look like the competition. If the only thing that sets you apart is virtuance photography, great. That is definitely, I use virtuance photography. Their photography creates X amount more buyers at, their stat sheet that he was talking about. That would be a unique selling proposition. I use this photographer and it sets our photos apart. Your photos apart. I might include that in mine. I don't know. Assuming I use them. That would be a USP. Okay, here's one everybody can use. I utilize the adjustment method in CMA analysis, which gives me a distinct advantage over the typical realtor who uses the price per square foot method. Whoa. That's a great unique selling proposition that makes you different. I use these, well, if they stop me and say, what does that mean? I'll go, well, let me tell you what it means. They're using a method that's just taking the total value of what's sold divided by the square footage, and if they're not making adjustments for main floor or basement or upstairs levels, or the fact that you have a mounted view, Mr. and Ms. Seller, and the other comps don't, they're not making adjustments for that. So it's coming out very vague. and it's not an accurate method to pricing. Very few realtors know this. So, what's another unique thing about doing business with Dave Hopkins? I network with top buyer agents, so I target market most buyer agents in the MLS, not listing agents. I market my homes to buyer agents that have more buyers. They're doing more buyer transactions than seller transactions. We can pull that right out of the RMLS. That's a unique selling proposition you can use if you start targeting to them. But if you use Myers Flyers or if you use Mondo Flyers, they send it to 7,500 agents. Well, 4,500 might be listing agents. What does the listing agent do? Delete, 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 delete. Because I don't even have time to look at it. Because 80% of what I do is marketing homes and 20% might be working with buyers. So I target the ones that are working like 80% of the time with buyers, 90% of the time with buyers. Another unique one I have is that when you call me, I actually pick my phone up. Or if it goes into my voicemail, I call you back. But you get me, you don't get a team member that is going to handle your transaction. Doesn't mean you don't use transaction coordinating. I mean, that's a huge thing that you got to do. But when you call me to ask me a question, hey, what's going on with my house? And I sit down and I tell them, I'm going to call you twice a week. And if they start calling every day, I go, remember we talked about twice a week? I can't answer your calls every day. But there's no reason for us to talk because I'm doing all these other things I just went through in my CMA with you. And by the way, I'm going to go through that right now, my market action plan. I'm taking a little longer to go through it with you just so you can kind of, pick up what we do. But even though I sell a lot of homes, I sell them one at a time and I give you attention. When you call me on the phone, I actually pick it up. As opposed to some of these bigger teams at KW, Halfson, you're working with the office manager. You don't even see the listing agent. I used to do that. I had a team of 4 agents. And I'd sell like 125 to 150 houses in a year. And guess what? They didn't talk to me. And what was their number one complaint after we were done closing and I sent them out my customer service survey? Hey, yeah, you sold my house for 3% more. You did it 20% faster. But I never talked to you. In fact, I've never even met you. Because my listing agent specialist went out and took the listing. That made me feel kind of that tall, and so I decided, wait a second. It's a little different than being a lawyer who can have a legal aid and a receptionist, and he's doing, they're doing all the work behind the scenes, and every once in a while they'll meet with the client, but really they're not doing much of the work unless it's a trial or something. But people want to work with people. They want you as an agent. So it's difficult. Well, she handles the buyers. She handles the sellers. This guy over here does the CMAs and the listings. And, it's a good system if you want to be gone a lot and you want to work 20 hours a week and the whole team does it. That's okay. It's just be prepared for that objection. I never get to talk to you, Christy. What's going on? I have over 24 years full-time experience in residential real estate, and I've been licensed for over 40 years. And I have done extensive sales and new construction, residential resale, and investment properties. My market plan of action, I include in my market my CMA. Okay, here's what I'm going to do for you. I'm going to do a walkthrough and a professional market analysis. I'm going to schedule my photographer. I only use professional photography. I'm not a photographer. I'm not going to use my cell phone. It's the best investment you can make. It's high definition. We also create a high definition video. I designed the full color brochure for the inside of your home. Oh, wait a second, Dave. What do you mean you don't put it on the outside of the house? Nope. Why not? Because I get 40% more calls when no flyer exists at the post. And my job is to create as many phone calls and as many showings as possible. If someone pulls a flyer out of the box, walks away, I have no idea they pulled a flyer out of the box unless they log on to the house website and put in their little code, then I know that they took a flyer, but I still may not have access to them. But a phone call, hey Dave, I'm at your house at 7551 Demers, but there's no flyer. Oh, well, what kind of information were you looking for? Well, what's the price? I'd love to tell you about the price. Are you in front of a computer? Yeah, I am. I tried to pull a brochure, but, well, log on to dave.greaterportlandhouses.com, and I want to take you through a virtual tour. And I'll get them on the phone, and then who's your agent? Are you working with a professional agent? Well, she says she's professional, but, oh, you know, can I talk to you about interviewing to be your professional buyer agent? You know, or, yeah, I'm working with, you know, Elise Winter. Oh, okay, well, she's pretty good, so keep working with her. And that's awesome. Let me give her a call and let's set up a showing. But if the buyer walks by, takes the flyer, walks away, and there's interest, you never know, because then the agent calls, sets up the appointment. You don't even know. You know, you could have had a buyer possibly, or you could have created the showing appointment. So, I mean, it really is that's another unique selling proposition, by the way, if you want to use that. We contact qualified buyers off of our own list. I have at my website, Dave at greaterportlandhouses.com, I have a list of 300 buyers actively looking at one time right now. So, here's my list. Put it right back in my backpack. I show them all the buyers that I'm working with that are looking on a daily basis. What does that do? I'm going to email them your listing. I'm going to get immediate interest because this is part of the listing presentation that I'm not doing today, but our job, you know, when you take you want to put their house in the RMLS. Why? Because one, it creates the highest amount of value for the property, but two, I mean, there's a ton of agents that will go, let's get your house out to those 4 or 5 people that I know and see if they can come in and buy it before we hit the market, and then you don't even have to go through it. Well, you could cost that seller $30,000 bucks. Mm-hmm. You don't know it. And I think there's a ton of liability, and I think that it's a huge ton of liability if you don't expose it. So what our plan is, we try to create, we contact the buyer agents, we send it to our 300 people on our buyer list, we create a whole bunch of interest the day before we're going to go in the RMLS. Then we hit the RMLS, we do a broker open that day, and we've got all this activity around it, and so we're trying to create the highest and best price by shoving as many elephants through the door at one time as possible. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. So you can do some pre-marketing. You need to have that exclusion sheet signed. Then they've signed it, initial it to allow you to put a coming soon sign in the yard. But don't worry, we're not going to sell your house until we hit the market, even if an agent brings me an offer. We're just trying to create more activity so it all coincides for that day that we hit the market. We advertise on Listing Hub, and that goes to, and Listing Hub is now part of RMLS, so they don't know it. Most agents don't even put it in there, right? But the RMLS is part of our fees and dues, sends it out to Listing Hub, and it goes to like 800 sites. Realtor.com, it's on Redfin, it's on Trulia, it's on Zillow, Yahoo, AOL, HomeGain, Home.com, a whole bunch of these things. These are just examples I use. We also mail to, let's say the house is on the west side, and mail to about 4,500 to 4,900 brokers. That's constantly moving, you know, because some come in and some go out, but there's about 5,000 or so that we mail to, you know, a flyer electronically. I pre-market to Portland Metro agents I've been working with for a long time. I follow up my home showings to every broker. Hey, and when you call an agent and go, hey, could I just get some feedback from my seller? Well, the feedback's going to be, especially if you know what's wrong with the house, like, well, the master bed, the bonus room's over the garage, but you got to walk through the closet to get there. If you already know that and you're calling for feedback why they didn't make an offer, what would be a better question? Could you give me some feedback on why my home's not selling? Because you're going to be calling the seller back every single time with the same thing, as opposed to, hey, Christy, what would it take to get an offer going with you and your buyer? What would it take? What do you mean, Dave? Well, I mean, what price? Is there a price that your buyer would pay for the house? Well, yeah, if they get it for $50,000 less, you bet. Okay, are you serious about that, or, because I tell you to write that offer. Because I don't know what my seller's gonna do. They might take it. Now $50,000 on a, $1 million house is not a big deal, but $500,000 house probably won't work. 10%, probably won't work. But maybe they do 20. Let me get back to you. But get a conversation going. What would it take to get an offer for your house? Because what you're hiring me to do, Mr. and Ms. Seller, is to find out what it's going to take to get an offer going. Because I'm here to get offers for your house. That's why I asked the question. We put stuff on Facebook, Twitter, Craigslist, which is where about 92% of all buyers are looking online, by the way, on these 800 different sites. And I'm going to do occasional open houses for you. I'm not going to do an open house every single weekend. Your house can get stale real quick, especially if we're priced high. We need to drop it. But we're going to do several open houses for you also. So there's my marketing plan. That's not all I do. I do some other things for them, but it's above and beyond. So one of the other things would be they get a daily or bi-weekly email from me showing them what's coming on. I don't put that in there because I want to give them some things that I don't want to list everything on there, because I'm going to do some things above and beyond what I said I would do. Because it's the old adage, you want to under-promise or over-promise?
Under-promise.
Under-promise. Every single time. That still looks pretty good, doesn't it? Mm-hmm. But it's short, sweet, takes me about 10 minutes to go through. So I've taken 2 to 5 minutes on my what makes me different. I've taken 5 minutes on my marketing plan, so I'm at 10 to 15 minutes. Guess what? I'm going to probably be spending 45 minutes talking to them about price and going through adjustments, because they want to get to the meat of it. So I go, so here's, remember what I left you with when I left the first time through your property? I left you with how the market's going to react. I've just put this in as a refresher,
That's great.
so you can look at that. And here's the comparables that I chose. Mr. and Ms. Seller, what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to go to find the most comparable properties that are single level to your one level. In this case, it was a single level. If it's a split entry, I'm pulling 4 split entries. If it's a daylight ranch, I hope I got 4 daylight ranches. I may not. I might have 2 single levels and 2 daylight ranches. But you're going to see when I make the adjustments on here how that works, okay? So here's the comps. And it prints it out for you automatically in the RMLS toolkit. And then I also I print the client full.
Because those don't automatically come up in the report through RMLS.
Yes, they don't.
Okay.
This is the report that comes up with the CMA right here.
And then you insert the
And then I
client
insert
full. Okay.
the client full right behind them. I don't want to give them, it does give them when it went pending, how many days on the market, and when it closed. The terms and the sale price. Well, that one sold for $11,000 more. And then guess what? I remember that 32 photo report. I print those.